LA. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Well, not really wrap it up because RL is gonna keep it going a little bit. All right, so have been talking about discipleship, correct? All right, and we were concentrating mostly on Matthew 10, where Jesus gives instructions to his disciples and tells them what they should expect and so forth, and how they will be treated and how they should be treating others, right? Kind of, sort of, kind of, yeah. Y'all just agreeing, and y'all is that what we're really talking about? All right. So let's see. We were around verse 38. Verse 38. We'll because we were within. As I said, I think we were doing the section from 34 to 39, but I think we kind of stopped around verse 38 on uh back on Wednesday. All right. So someone read 38 and 39, please, right quick, if y'all will.
And he who does not take up his cross and follows after me is not worthy of me. He who has found his life will lose it, and he who has lost his life for my sake will find it.
All right. All right. Okay. Now, after so Jesus was explaining that as they teach and preach that it's gonna turn some people against some people, right? Turn. Let's see, was it man against father, daughter against mother, daughter-in-law against mother-in-law? So it's gonna disrupt some things within households, even, right? So, but then he makes the point: he who does not take up his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. He who has found his life will lose it. He has lost his life for my sake will find it. What does that mean? What do those two verses mean? As especially as he's referring to the the dissension that's going to be between families. What's he referring to? Why does he say this? These two verses here. Just raise your hand. He'll bring the mic to you. He'll bring the mic to you. You ain't gotta fight for the mic. Should have said anybody but James Hall. But go ahead, Mr. Hall, sir. Brother James.
When you look at that, you also think about when you see it, if you can't confess me before men, you know, how much to confess you before my father. You know, so you put the two together in that sense because he's telling you if you can't follow me with the directions that I gave you in front of others, how are you going to be a true type, you know?
All right, so you're saying he's telling the 12 disciples that right there? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not just the 12, he's telling all of them. But I mean, then it's the same thing he was saying. Well, I mean, he was talking about these disciples. So when they go out, this is what they need to be looking for. These same people that are doing the same thing that they're doing. They're responding to the message that they're giving forth. You know, he's giving to them for them to give to everybody else. And everybody else is supposed to take that same message and give it to somebody else and not be afraid because anybody that follow Christ is going to deal with some type of persecution or dislike, or like you say, you're going to butt heads with family members and those type of things. But you stay the course. If you stay the course, I got you.
All right, all right, all right. All right. Brother Johnson has something he wants to add to that, or take away from that, or erase the whole thing. What you got, Mr. Johnson?
I was just gonna
Brother
say,
Johnson.
what those verses, those last two verses mean is denying oneself, denying oneself to accept Jesus Christ. Then the next one say, the one who loses his life, when you deny yourself, you're not putting your life or yourself before Jesus. You're committing to Him.
All right, all right. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. But let's tie that in to the verses before that, where he talks about the man against father, daughter against mother. Already raised his hand. Daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. Man's enemies will be the members of his household. Your enemies are going to be the members of your household. Then he goes into to the other two verses. So let's tie them together. Yes, sir. He's got it.
Okay. If you look at what he's saying about taking up the cross, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't take up a cross but for one reason,
What's that?
to die.
Okay.
So when
Okay.
Jesus took that cross up, he was on his way to die. But he's saying that just like he did, you're going to have to take up a cross to die, but to your old self. The reason that your family members, your friends, they become your enemies in a lot of cases is because they want to tie you back to that life that you was living before you came to Jesus. And he's
Okay.
basically saying that, hey, I've already given you redemption, the hope of eternal life. But
Not
the
yet.
the
Not
cost of me giving you that is that you're going to have to give up those things you were doing before.
yeah, yeah.
So you come to me, and you can't have the one that I'm trying to give.
Okay. Now he hadn't given them redemption yet. He hadn't
Right.
given us redemption yet
I'm
at,
speaking about us.
at this time.
Yeah.
But it was coming. It was coming. But yeah, but you're right though. The all right, so disciples are out teaching and preaching all right. There will be those that will believe, right? And take it what it's worth. Probably. There will be people who would, let's say you're in a family, and let's say you're a son or daughter, which everybody's a son or daughter, you got parents, right? So when you tell your parents about this new way of believing or this new way of living, now it's something that they've been taught all their lives, something they taught you all of your life. Now you're changing up a little bit. Now, not that the law was changed, but it was fulfilled. And Jesus gave a deeper meaning of the law, right? So, so now you're telling your parents, and we kind of talked about it a little bit the other day about young people and older people. So what were the parents probably doing in those cases? If it was a young person against a older person,
Mm.
what were the older people probably doing?
Pointing them back to that law.
Pulling them back, saying, "No, no, let's stay here, right? Let's keep doing this. I brought you up better than this. I taught you how to do this. This kind of thing, right? This is what we've been taught. This is what we've been studying. This is what we've been worshiping all along, and probably trying to convince them to remain like they were. No,
Yeah.
probably. So, and probably in some cases they probably got to a point where they were fighting mad at each other and maybe actually fought, right? Um. So, and then you go to the taking up of the cross, as you said, it's sacrificing your life. Back in those days, that's what the criminals did. They paraded them through, as they did Jesus. They paraded them through. They carried those crosses and paraded them through before they hung up, before they put the cross in the ground and hung it up there. So, and taking up your cross is the metaphor, as you say, for for dying to your old self, and now you're a new creature. Okay. But if you're not willing to give up that, even though your parents and your friends or whatever, people are convincing you or trying to convince you to stay the way you were or to stay doing the same things in the same manner that you were doing them, you have to die to that. Even now, many times, at least most of the time I think about it, you think about dying to your old self, you're thinking about the sinful ways that you've been living, right? Is that what most people think? No? Yeah. Is that what you think, DJ? Yeah, you just agree with me anyway. Make it easier. Yeah, yeah, man. But really easy. But now what they were doing was worshiping, right? What they were doing or what they thought they were doing was living the life that God wanted them to live in the way that God wanted them to live it. That's what they thought, right? So they didn't understand that they weren't where they should be. So that's an even bigger uh, slap in the face, so to speak. Okay, it's one thing when you know you're doing wrong. Okay, I'm doing wrong. I need to do better. But when you think you're doing right and being told that what you think is right is not really right, it's really wrong. And what you thought was wrong is wrong, but what you thought was right is wrong. And so he's saying that if you still want to live under the old law, not just live in those sinful ways, but if you still want to live in the manner for which you've been living under the old law, which, like I said, the old law was really still the law because Jesus hadn't died yet, but been crucified yet. But um, so they if they wanted to hold on to that, they had to die to that as well, right? Thinking that the whole time they were living their life the right way. Now most people, if even Donald Trump said he probably ain't going to heaven, right? Because he knows the things he's doing is wrong, and he's still doing wrong, right? Even though he knows it. Right? And most of us know when we do wrong. Now James, I'm gonna clear it wrong. See, I know I did wrong, but in many cases they didn't know they were wrong. In many cases they didn't understand that they weren't believing. Yes, sir.
I mean, the same thing is we do better. Suppose you learn, you do better. So when you try to put something new in front of somebody, they don't buck against it. That's why study to show yourself is so important. Because like we say, any don't get mad, Joe. But any Joe Blow can come by and tell you anything. And if you don't check it out for yourself or you research it yourself, you'll take it and you'll make it a practice or habit or whatever. So we're battling the same thing these days. And that's why that particular scripture is stated like it is, because that's what we're still doing. A lot of that is still going on. That's why you got the family members against each other and stuff like that. Because somebody knows something a little bit different than the other one, and then when they try to put it in front of them, but mama and them, grandma and them taught us this and showed us that, they don't want to turn it loose.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So you made that connection, huh, James? What's that, James? All right now. Got a hand in the back.
I want to just say, yeah, oftentimes people get blinded by their own truth or their own tradition. The law always pointed to Christ. People get blinded by their own truth and tradition, thinking those are pleasing to God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because the law always pointed to. Now they didn't know who he was. They didn't know when he was coming, and they thought some thought it would be what David, right? That he would come back or whatever. So there's a lot of different beliefs as to when he was coming, who would be when he did come, and so they didn't, think that Jesus was the one. But yeah, people are blinded by their tradition, and what they've been taught or what they've been told, and so that's just what they automatically believe. Um, but as James said, am I free to repeat something James just? Oh, Ariel said, "No, I don't repeat anything James just said." We should study for ourselves, so that we can know, right? So we can understand. All right. So yes, so yeah, there'll be conflict there. There'll be conflict, but those that are willing, that have the open heart and the open mind to 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 get to gain another understanding and the proper understanding. Um, he'll be worthy of me, it says, and he who has found his life will lose it, and who has lost his life for my sake will find it. All right, let's go on down and finish up the chapter here, 40 to 42. Someone read those, please. 41, 40, 41, 42. 40, 41, and 42.
He who receives you receives me, and who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And who receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever in the name of a disciple gives to one of these little ones even a cup of cold water to drink, truly I say to you, he shall not lose his reward.
All right. All right. So, first part of that, he who receives me, excuse me, he who receives you receives me. He who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. What does that mean? What does that mean? He's talking to the disciples, right? He's talking to the 12. He's sending them out. And he's saying, whoever receives you receives me. What's that? That's obvious, right? Y'all think it's too obvious. Y'all don't want to say it. Yeah. So someone that is open to what they have to say is open to Christ, right? Now there are those who, you know, we talked probably a few sessions ago about not taking it personally if someone doesn't accept what it is you're offering them, as far as your discipleship, right? When you're talking to them and maybe teaching them or testifying about something, but there'll be those that don't want to hear it, right, so to speak. And we kind of take it personally because, like, oh yeah, they turning away from us, but it's not really us they turning away from, is it? Right? Who is
It's the one that sent you.
it? Okay, the one that sent us. There you go. All right. So it's the same. So if they're not deflecting you, or they're not against you or rejecting you, they're rejecting Christ. They're rejecting God. Okay, same as if they accept you. If they accept what you have to say, they accept the words that you're telling them, and they start reading and studying on it. They're accepting Christ because you are basically representing Him. You are, you are, you are His disciple. All right, and that's basically what this is saying. And if you receive it, you will receive that reward that is set for you. Um, and then down in 42 it says, "Whoever in the name of a disciple gives to one of these little ones even a cup of cold water to drink." Truly I say to you, he will not lose his reward. What's a cup of water? A cold, and he said a cold cup of water too. He specified that have anything to do with anything?
I think it's metaphor.
Yeah, exactly. Metaphor. Okay, a metaphor for what?
You sharing something.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, that's really it. He's saying, giving a little one, a small person, a child, I guess he was referring to children, something to drink is a kind act, isn't it? So that's but it's a fairly small act, isn't it? All right. So I think he's saying that it doesn't have to be something grand. You don't have to be on a big stage, in front of the TV and have cameras and all the fanfare and all. That you can do something as small as just giving a child something to drink.
And I don't think he's completely talking about kids either. I think you could
It
put
could be immature. Yeah.
yes
Yeah. Yeah.
within that.
I
Something else,
agree.
man, I didn't want to say that, but you said something about, some weeks ago y'all talked about taking stuff personally.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
That's part of that taking up the cross.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a big part of it that we don't think about. Y'all remember the text where Jesus said, let the dead bury their own dead?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody close to you die, and then I tell you, don't worry about going over there and bury them. You come on and help me, do this mission work for the church. Who won't feel some kind of way about that? So that's part of taking up your cross. That when we go out and do stuff, as far as sharing the word, and I know we ain't gonna agree to it. And I'm one because I have been down that road. We take that away when people don't listen at what we are sharing. We hold grudges. If it's somebody who got a different belief, we don't even deal with them anymore because we let our emotions and all get
Mm-hmm.
involved when we should be, in spirit. So we don't take the five cross like even like we think, man. That's all I'm saying.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. We get all upset, don't we? If you ever get to arguing with somebody about the Bible, you have taken it personally. If you've gotten heated, if you let them get you upset just because they don't agree with you, you have taken it a little too personally. They're not denying you. Remember that. It's not you that they're denying. Yes.
This verse, I mean, y'all hear me say it a lot. What Christ has given me, I'll take it and share it with somebody else. Even if it ain't nothing but I pick up the phone and I call Sis Vivian and just say, I just called to give you one to see how you doing. So that kindness, that humility that he instills in each and every one of us. That's what when talk about it. I thought about it, but y'all hear me say it all the time. If I just keep what God has given me to myself, I nullify this. Even though, like to say, it's just a little small thing. But to somebody else, it could be like, shouldn't say it like this, like winning the lottery, just because, like, how? So we have to be mindful and we have to stop being afraid, to share and reach out to others because we don't never know. If you just hold on to it, you know, now you're going against him. So you can't receive what he has for you if you keep holding on to everything he already gave you.
Okay. James brings up a good point. Let's turn to Mark. Mark, the 5th chapter. Someone read verses 16 through 20, please. Mark, 5th chapter, verses 16 through 20.
Those who had seen it described to them how it happened to the demon-possessed man and all about the pigs. And they began to beg to leave their region. And as he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed was begging him that he might accompany him. And he did not let him, but he said to him, go to your home and report to them what great things the Lord has done for you and how he had mercy on you. He went away and began to proclaim unto populace what great things Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed.
All right. Is that what James Hall just said? Goodness, y'all. But James hitting it today, isn't it? All right. So this is and I didn't go. We were going to do Matthew 8:28 through 34. That's where they came upon the gentleman with that were filled with demons, and they asked that not to just cast the demons out of them. The demons asked to, it, can I be, can we be put into the pigs? So Jesus did that, and then the pigs went and jumped in the, I guess, in the lake or into the water, the body of water, and drowned, right, whatever. And so now the Pharisees at this time, the Pharisees, I said, if you go back to Matthew 8, it'll say something. I'm paraphrasing that the Pharisees were spreading those kind of rumors, because Jesus was gaining momentum, right? People were hearing these stories and all that. So the Pharisees started saying things like, "Well, uh, the he cast out those demons, through the power of the father of the demons, trying to say he's got the devil in him. That's how he can talk to the devil that's in them, and it's kind of what they were putting out there, so that people wouldn't think that God was truly, you know, giving him the power to do these things. So anyway, but this is the same story that Matthew's telling, the same story, but it's just a little bit additional, where he says that um, Jesus told the man that had been possessed, told him to go home to your people and report to them what great things the Lord has done for you and how he had mercy on you. So just as James was saying, when someone's done something like woke us up this morning that we take for granted, right? But we ought to be telling people. We ought to tell someone. It is our duty as disciples to spread that word. To spread that word, we should be telling it. Now, how we tell it is up to us, I guess, in the manner for which we tell it. Some of us may wait until somebody asks us about it. Some of us may not wait for that. But we are to be telling others. I mean, remember last, I guess it was Wednesday, we were talking about where, God is going to give you what you need so that you can say what needs to be said at the time it needs to be said, right? We worry about, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? I'm probably going to tell them the wrong things, you know, or whatever. But we shouldn't worry about that. We shouldn't worry about that. We've been charged with being disciples. He's gonna empower us to be able to say. He's going to use us in the manner for which we need to be used. And one thing, or one, I guess, I would say an easier thing to do is tell of your own experience. Testify of what has happened to you, where you were and where you are. You know, you know, things that you desired. It could be something that you dreamed about when you were young that has come to light now. Now that you're old, you know, just tell your story. Testify as to what God has done for you. And He won't have to necessarily give you the words because I'm sure you feel that, right? Yes, sir.
I mean, it's funny that you said that. I said, that's how I had to learn because everything that I had got from somewhere else, I just run, go tell it. But then somebody had to sit me down. Howard, the teacher, sat me down and talked to me. And, it's good that you're doing that, but are you prepared when you do that? Because when you do that, like you said, you gotta know what you're saying and how you should say it, so that when you do say it, you don't rub nobody wrong or you get into confrontation.
Hmm.
So I had to learn how to share what he had gave me versus just going out sharing. So again, like I said, he will equip you so you'll know how to do it and why you do it. But I think some of mine was I was just so glad to know something different. I just went and just started, just start telling.
All right.
I didn't have the whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of times what happens when confrontation comes in.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Okay. Jay doesn't get to testifying to us, but we'll be here a while. Very good, very good, very good. Let's turn to Matthew 9 right quick. We're trying to finish up right quick. Um, Matthew 9, verses 32 through 38, and I'll read them right quick. All right. As they were going out, a mute, demon-possessed man was brought to him. After the demon was cast out, the mute man spoke, and the crowds were amazed and were saying, "Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees were saying, "He casts out the demons by the ruler of the demons." Jesus was going through all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. Seeing the people, he felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dispirited, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore, beseech the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest." All right, so we see that Jesus is casting out demons, and of course the Pharisees are against him, and they're putting out there where he cast out demons by the ruler of the demons. But Jesus was going to cities and villages and going to their synagogues, proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, healing every kind of sickness. But he's seeing the people. He felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dispirited, like sheep without a shepherd. What does that say? What does that say? I'm hearing some murmur. Lost. Don't know what direction to go in. You can walk, but you don't know where you're supposed to be walking, right? You may be thirsty and want some water, but guess what? You walk in the other direction away from the water. You walk in the wrong direction away from food or whatever. That's how we should be, y'all. When we're out, then you see them in the grocery store or whatever, like a sheep to you, but they're lost. Them just a smile sometimes, head nod. Years ago people used to nod, do the head like that when they spoke. Then years ago people used to do the head up. When I was coming up, was like, "What's up? What's up?" Right? That's what the kids do now. What y'all do now? Head up, head down. Y'all go to the side. What y'all do now? Whatever it is, we need to be doing that, right? Speaking to people, smiling. You know, quit mean mugging everybody you see. When people see you, it don't mean you're not tough. Oh, I gotta smile. Be pleasing when you see someone you today. Wave. Something. You may brighten their day. They're lost. They may be distressed. They may be dispirited. You don't know what they've been going through. Now it may lead to a conversation where you can end up sharing a testimony, such as Brother James has been doing. But it may just be just like I said, a simple smile. Hello, how are you today? May that could brighten someone's day. That could brighten someone's day. All right. And we as disciples should be doing these things all the time. So, and when the situation's testimony. Now, if we go back to Matthew 22, why we should be doing these things as disciples? Why should we be doing? Verse 36 and verse 39 of the 22nd chapter would tell us. Verse 36, "Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law?" And then verse 39, where he says, the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So you should love your neighbor as yourself. If you truly love your neighbor's everybody. Now, not just the person that lives right beside you across the street. Your neighbor's everyone. And you should love them as you love yourself. So sharing love with people is what we should be doing as disciples. And that goes along with speaking to people and helping them, being compassionate, being understanding, giving them grace. Even if they're mean to us, we're not supposed to be mean back to them. All right. So we should always be disciples. We should always be sharing the good news and in our actions, not just in our words, but in our actions as well. All right. That is all.